It is Black History Month, and this year is the 100th anniversary of the first celebration. USD Associate Professor of History TJ Talley is joining us with a look back. TJ, professor, should I say? A real professor. Chrissy calls me professor. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure to be here.
Give me a little history. Black History Month, how did it begin? Who founded it? Give me a little history. Take me back.
Sure. So Black History Month is in 100 years of its celebration right now, and its history begins in 1926 when Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History began what was known as Negro History Week. And so between 1926 and 1976, for the first 50 years, we had Negro History Week, and just a week of trying to study Black history, Black past, and really thinking about the contributions that Black Americans have made historically to the United States and beyond.
I wanted to ask you, the first American president to support Black History Month, because those first 50 years, I can't imagine this country the way it was in those times. Who celebrated that? In what states, what cities, what municipalities? How did that work?
Absolutely. So when Carter Woodson began this sort of process, it was really about sort of disseminating this knowledge in smaller states and through educational materials. And in those first years, it was really the East Coast, North Carolina, West Virginia. But by the 1930s, you see this sort of expanse across the nation. But it doesn't become a really ongoing concern until the 1970s. And in 1970, you have actually students at universities in Ohio begin clamoring for a month. And this finally takes place in 1976 when when Gerald Ford actually makes and recognizes Black History Month as the celebration. So it did take a good 50 years.
It only took half a century.
No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. February was chosen. Why this particular month?
Right. So we often get this a lot. So as a professor of Black history, people are often like, well, why is it February? And I was like, it's not because it's the shortest month. It's not meant to shortchange us. Yeah. But the reason was that when Carter Woodson founded Negro History Week, it was the second week of February, and it was meant to coincide with two birthdays. The February 12th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, and the February 14th birthday of Frederick Douglass. And so Frederick Douglass died in 1895, and so this was still a period in which Frederick Douglass was seen as one of these significant, major African Americans that had broken a lot of color barriers and restrictions, and so his birthday was already becoming a teaching day. So making it a week was actually a big deal in 1926.
Frederick Douglass is great. When I took my kids over to D.C. and we said, learn about this man. See that man? Learn about that man.
Absolutely.
The important lessons that you would tell young people now about Black History Month, what would they be?
I think more than ever, Black History Month is important because it reminds us that we have so many not only diverse histories, but histories that we can be proud of. Yeah. We live in a period right now where I think the idea of history becomes really malleable, or, I mean, even under attack, right? The idea of wanting to have a narrative that only makes us feel good. Black history can make us feel good, but it also reminds us of legacies of hard work and struggle. And one of the things that I love most being a historian is that history is literally the story of us. All of the things that are good about us, all of the work that we've done. And if we have these legacies of history, if we have them, we know that we're not alone. Yeah. And I joke that we don't struggle under the tyranny of novelty. We think that everything happening to us is brand new.
Oh, the tyranny of novelty. Did you come up with that,
did.
TJ? Oh, I'm writing that down.
They teach you that in professor school.
Oh my God, the tyranny of novelty. I'm not kidding. I'm actually writing that down. You guys are having several events at the University of San Diego.
Yes.
What kind of stuff?
So we're really excited about that. So USD is really committed to sort of having Black History celebrations. One, we are having the author of Queen Sugar, Ms. Bazile. She'll be there on February 23rd at Copley Library talking about Queen Sugar, the book, and the later TV series that came out of it. We're also having Dr. Donatrice Allison, who is a renowned media scholar, who'll have a series of events really talking about Black lives in higher education.
Yeah. Narrative of the life. I'll never forget it when I read that book.
Oh, it was such a good, it's phenomenal.
It's amazing what education and understanding your history can do for people, right?
I agree.
That's why you're a professor.